Yes, sir. So I know if you in Philadelphia and you're an Eagles fan, you got to be excited, and then on the other end, you got to be quite disappointed because nobody in Philly was really rooting for the demise of Carson Wentz. You know what I'm saying? Give you a new destination, hope that you do well. We just understand that you can't do what you're doing here anymore. And then you fast forward to yesterday. You got the Colts. All they got to do is beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars got the number one pick again, I believe. You got the best running back in the year this year. You got a solid O line. There was a stat that I saw that the Colts got a losing record when Carson Wentz passes for about 35 or more attempts. So that's already a bad look because let's say that you're in a shootout or let's say that you're behind, like this game right here where Carson Wentz threw for 29 passes and only like what, a buck 85 yards, that it's a losing battle. Carson Wentz is not going to reel your team back. It's just not in him because he just self-sabotages. Whether it's a bad throw, whether it's getting sacked, holding on to the ball too long, the list goes on. But it's not just on Carson Wentz. This is on Frank Wright and the rest of the Colts organization. Carson Wentz is just the easy scapegoat, of course, because he just got there. Philly didn't want him, but he's getting up with his old OC. Let's see if they can make it happen. But this is also on Frank Wright. You got to do what you can do to make sure Jonathan Taylor makes it happen by any means necessary. But let's check it out.
Nick, man, it was shocking. It was shocking. As I went through the ticker and I was looking
That's
at
what
the
they
scores
said.
and I seen this one, I was very disturbed to see the Indianapolis Colts in this position. This was a team that I thought would get into the postseason and be very competitive, based on, just their overall team. I think they got the right pieces to compete with anybody. But when you're playing against a divisional opponent, Jacksonville, they came in to play spoiler, and that's what happened. And now the Colts, there is no tomorrow. There is no today. They got to move on and packing their bags and they're going home. So they have nobody to blame but themselves. And this one's going to sting for a long time because all you got to do is get into the postseason and have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. And they blew their opportunities yesterday. So it's back to the drawing board for them, and they got to reevaluate their whole situation. So we'll see what happens in Indianapolis.
Mike, I don't know if people want to hear me say I told you so, but for those that do, I told you so. Not you, Mike, but just the general football public. But I'll be quick on that. Listen, some people are right about Carson Wentz. Other people, said that he could take the Colts to the Super Bowl. Some people are right about Carson Wentz. Other people broke down the film. They got in the lab with the X's and O's and didn't talk patronizingly at all to other just random football fans and explained how Wentz is having the best year of his career. The rest of us watched him do a 360 in his own end zone and throw the ball to the other team 2 months ago and was like, oh, that's the Carson Wentz I know and love. Can't win with him. So here's my question, Mike. After they, I think, had the biggest final week of the regular season loss, most shocking in NFL history, at least modern NFL history. Do you think it's going to be a hard sell?
Like, bro, do you understand that for the Pittsburgh Steelers to even have a chance to get into the playoffs, they needed Jacksonville to upset the Colts? And everybody was ruling that out. You got commentators talking about they're not showing up to work because everybody ruled it out. But that's where the term any given Sunday comes in.
For Frank Reich and Chris Ballard, who have built a lot of good things in Indy, to bring him back next year, or at least not bring in some competition. Do you think they can run it back with Carson Wentz? Can the locker room say it was just one bad game at the worst possible time, or is that going to be too hard of a sell?
Listen, man, with the list of quarterbacks that are going to be free agents, you're going to have to go and make a move, regardless of what. You might have to take a loss and get rid of Carson Wentz because he's just not it. Like I said, if you can't have a quarterback that could throw for at least 35 attempts or more in a game that might be a shootout, in a game where you might be trailing, what good is he, bro? Those days of trying to have a game manager is not going to work. You could try to say what? Kirk Cousins, because they're cleaning house over there. That's, you know what I'm saying, more or less the same person. Jimmy G. You go ahead and try to get Aaron Rodgers. Imagine Aaron Rodgers playing in Indianapolis with this offensive line, with a stud running back, Michael Pittman, and then you might be able to bring in another receiver. Who knows? Playing in this weak division, the only competition is against the Titans. Then you got the Jaguars and the Texans. We don't know the deal. Deshaun Watson, that's not going to happen. They're not going to trade Deshaun Watson within the division. You can rule that out. Russell Wilson, you don't know. Russell Wilson is looking for somewhere where he doesn't have to run for his life, getting sacked. You never know, bro. Don't rule it out.
No, it's not a hard sell. I think you do bring Carson Wentz back. The reason I say that is because good quarterback play is hard to find, and you can go out and you can find guys who can come in and fill the void, but not be as effective. I do think Carson Wentz got some good football in him. I think him being with the right coach and having the right tutelage around him is very important for him and his development because he's still a young quarterback. But you do bring in a guy who can compete with him, a guy like a Case Keenum, somebody who you can throw in and they can win a couple games, who can potentially take the season over if needed. So while I do like Carson, I do like some things about his game. I do think it gets erratic and
The moderator said that he doesn't do well with competition. I don't know if anybody caught that, but she said that Carson Wentz does not do well with competition, and that's referring to the ghost of Nick Foles in the back of his mind. He's still having flashbacks from Philly because he feels like he has to prove everybody wrong. He rushed back from that injury too fast because Nick Foles was holding down the fort. Brought Philly, got him their first Super Bowl, got a statue in Philly. He's damn near a god out there in that city. And Carson Wentz still has the ghost of Nick Foles in the back of his mind. So is it a good idea trying to listen, you got to do what you got to do. I definitely would bring in a strong backup to apply pressure. And if he doesn't play good, oh well, he's going to have to go to the bench.
sometimes, but they're going to have to bring in some competition, somebody to just push them a little bit because there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, see, Mike, I think that Carson would struggle with competition. You know, we saw what happened in Philly with Nick Foles, then Jalen Hurts. I just think mentally it would wear him out. I'm with you in that I'm not just giving him away.
The situation with Jalen Hurts was a shit show created by Doug Peterson. That's why he's not coaching in Philadelphia anymore. You mean to tell me that it's second down, you bringing in Jalen Hurts to come in for a RPO play, he's fumbling the snap and whatnot, then you take his ass out, you bring Carson Wentz back in. You know how many times he did that? Come on, dude. You got to have a game plan.
I don't have my plan B, like, oh, this is the guy I'm going to. Then I don't just give him away because he didn't throw an interception on the road until yesterday. All right, so Nick's a little overboard in that he did have.
It's like saying, man, listen, man, my homie ain't smoked crack all week, but he did it yesterday. Does that make any sense to you, my man? You know, come on, dude. Bad is bad, good is good.
Pretty decent season, and I thought they could win with him just being mediocre, and yesterday it was just bad.
That's the problem right there. We're talking about all we need is him to just be mediocre. Just get us to where we need to get to. No, make no mistakes. That's game manager talk. Alex Smith, it doesn't work out. You're trying to make Carson Wentz that, it's not going to work out. You're trying to make Kirk Cousins that in Minnesota. You got stud offensive players. That's not working.
I will say, Mike, is this. I am looking to move on. If I can't find anybody, fine. But I'm trying to get somebody. I know I'm not getting Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, or Deshaun Watson. But I would take a Kirk Cousins. If I could get Kirk Cousins, then I'm trading Carson Wentz. There's only $15 million guaranteed left on this deal, even though he's got 3 years left. So I'm ready to move on from him. I've seen 6 years.
And getting Kirk Cousins is going to make the team any better because Kirk Cousins still has his erratic play. He's coming from Minnesota. If that was to happen, if Minnesota wanted to part ways, but it's like, bro, you're coming from a good situation. Then you want to come over here, you're really not going to make it better because Justin Jefferson is a better receiver than Michael Pittman. Then you had Thielen. Then you had the tight end Conklin. Then you have a stud in Dalvin Cook. And then you have a great backup in Madison. So how is this a fucked up situation? Who's ruining it?
Of this. And he had one really good season, and then since then he's been struggling. So I'm not just dumping him for nothing, Wilds, but I am looking to see if I can upgrade. And it don't have to be an elite quarterback for an upgrade.
Yeah, I'm nervous, and Jenna, I heard you sort of mention it. Like, I don't think Carson Wentz is the type of guy who necessarily is going to get better when there's a guy behind him. I think we saw that with Jalen, that we think it actually might go the other way. Yeah, so I don't really love that idea so much. I think he has to be a guy who just like, hey, you're the guy, don't stress about it, you know, do your thing, and hopefully he'll play better. Mike, I want to ask you how much credit you think Jacksonville deserves for this win, because here's the draft order of the worst teams in the league: Jacksonville, Detroit, Texans, Jets. They all played well yesterday. Jacksonville got a win. The Lions played well. Dan Campbell had 2 trick plays go for touchdowns. The Texans played the Titans hard. And the Jets, even though they ended up losing by over 2 touchdowns, they were in that game in Buffalo for a while. How much credit do you give Jacksonville in these, and what do you make of these teams that floundered all year, all of a sudden kind of showing some life in Week 18?
It was just a situation when they had everything to gain and nothing to lose. I mean, when they cut their film on today and they doing their evaluations of who they going to bring back and who they want to let go, you know, obviously half of those guys who was on the field yesterday, they want to come back. Nobody wants to change scenery. Nobody wants to change locker rooms. So they gave it everything they had, plus they playing spoiler. So it was some incentives in the game for them for all the right reasons. So I don't put a lot into what happened yesterday because I always felt like it's
Out, man, not to cut the brother off, but they're about to talk about the Jags. Credit to the Jags any given Sunday. But, man, you can't just blame Carson Wentz. You got to blame the head coach and everybody else that participated in that ugly loss yesterday. But like I said, Philly fans are celebrating because, of course, as soon as they got rid of Carson Wentz, they won that trade. Hands down. It doesn't really matter because we know who Carson Wentz, he is who we thought he was. It's enough of that. I'm out.